Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Kiley, and I have the tremendous good fortune to represent the Tahoe Basin in the House of Representatives here. And we are here today with a simple message, that is protect Lake Tahoe, extend the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act. Lake Tahoe is a national treasure, and we must honor our commitment to preserving it for generations to come. For over 50 years, presidents, governors, senators, and representatives from both parties have worked in a bipartisan fashion to protect the natural beauty and wonder of Lake Tahoe. We all came together last year for the Tahoe Summit, bringing people from across the aisle who might not agree on a whole lot of other things, but agree on preserving this truly national treasure. Nearly 80% of the land in the Lake Tahoe Basin is controlled by the U.S. Forest Service. The bipartisan Lake Tahoe Restoration Act provides the federal share for the environmental restoration projects in the basin, in partnership with California, Nevada, local governments, nonprofit, and for-profit partners. Since its enactment, a total of $104.7 million has been appropriated for the current Lake Tahoe Restoration Act as of the 2023 fiscal year. That's just about 27%, though, of the total authorization. So while Congress has steadily increased the pace of appropriations under the Act since its enactment, the Act has a significant level of spending authority remaining under what was originally a 7-year spending bill. There's a 7-year authorization. Since its previous reauthorization 20 years ago, funds have gone to more than 700 projects in the Tahoe Basin. And Lake Tahoe's waters are the clearest they've been in decades. And these are really, really important projects. I've gone out and seen a lot of them myself. And it's taken a tremendous amount of collaboration to make them possible. And without them, Lake Tahoe really wouldn't be the same. And let's remember, this is a place that not only is home to 55,000 residents, but that millions of people from my district, from across the state, across the country, across the world, come to visit each and every year. So I remain committed to continuing the long history of bipartisan leadership that has preserved and protected this very special place. And it's up to all of us to continue to make sure that this national treasure remains the extraordinary place that it is for years and generations to come. So I want to thank the tremendous coalition that has come together in support of extending and reauthorizing the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act. And it's now my pleasure to introduce someone who is a tremendous leader for Placer County and a tremendous advocate for Tahoe, and that is the current chair of the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, Cindy Guffey. Cindy?
Thank you, Congressman. Good morning. It is truly an honor to be with you all today and to share with this coalition the incredible work that we're doing for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. I am honored to serve as the chair this year. And when we talk about Lake Tahoe, we talk about the second deepest lake, alpine lake in the nation. We're talking about some of the purest water in the state, in the nation. 80% of that land is owned, surrounding the basin, is owned by the federal government, the U.S. Forest Service. And we have a responsibility to be here in Washington to work with our federal partners to raise the funds necessary to continue the work we're doing to protect the lake. 55 years ago, overdevelopment threatened the Tahoe Basin, and the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, a bi-state congressional act, developed the agency to protect and administer the funds for the lake. The federal investment has been absolutely critical to protecting that lake, and our Restoration Act, the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, that was formed in 2016, brought all the partners together with a list of projects that were going to deal with the overdevelopment of the lake and restore our precious water and systems. It brought together both our public partners, our private partners, our tribal partners, and our really valued nonprofits. Lake clarity has stabilized, as the congressman said. Our mountain streams are cleaner. but climate change poses a threat. We look at the threat of catastrophic wildfire. We look at the threat to our waters of Lake Tahoe, and invasive species threaten our lake. So we must continue our efforts. We must fight hard to protect this body of water, not for us, but for the future generations that we represent. The Lake Tahoe Restoration Act expires this September. It is critical that we get the act renewed and that we have 10 more years to continue the work that we're doing to protect this lake. So we urge Congress to extend the act and support another decade of the work that we're doing to leverage funds to solve these problems. So thank you for having me, and now I'd like to introduce one of our valued partners, Chair of the League to Save Lake Tahoe's board, Steve Spurlock.
As Sydney noted, I'm Steve Spurlock. I'm the board chair of the League to Save Lake Tahoe. I'd like to thank Congressman Kiley for his leadership here. Supervisor Gustafson, thanks for your leadership on these issues at home. I think we're all in agreement that Lake Tahoe is a national treasure. It sees some 15 million visits a year. Those pressures, combined with the fact that, as been noted, that the federal government owns 80% of the land in the basin, and absent the protections of a national park, the basin really needs federal support to confront some of the challenges facing the basin today. The League to Save Lake Tahoe has been advocating for support for the lake since 1957, and one of the huge successes, I think, has been the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, which has been received bipartisan support through several Congresses, and we're very thankful that Congress has seen support this, and the presidents have supported it as well. Thanks to the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, we've made significant progress in forest treatment, thinning forests to mitigate wildfires, incremental water infrastructure to neighborhoods that did not have firefighting equipment. We're fighting invasive species that have made their way into the lake, and we're making a lot of progress. I think it's worth noting that these federal dollars are incredibly efficient. For every dollar we get from the federal government, we get another $3 from a combination of state, local, tribal, and private money. So in our view, it's money well spent. However, this act expires in September, so there is need for further action in Congress. The act was a 10-year act, and it expires this fall. We're joined here today by a coalition of Tahoe interests that represents business interests, tribal interests, local government leaders, public agencies, and we are united in the request that Congress extend the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act for an incremental 10 years. I think it's worth noting that we're not asking for additional funds. There's about $300 million of unspent money in the current act, and we're just asking that the timeline for this be extended. And there is some urgency to this request, because if it expires, existing projects will halt, and they're difficult to restart. Given the support of this, I think, is reflective of the fact this is not some classic business versus environmental issue. The business community in Lake Tahoe sees the importance of preserving the lake so that the local economy can thrive. So these pressures require continued investment, and we urge Congress to act this fall. With that, I'd like to introduce the representative of the historic stewards of the Lake Tahoe Basin, Chairman Cyril Smokey of the Washoe Tribe of California and Nevada.
Cyril Smokey, Chairman of the Washoe Tribe of Nevada and California. Da'owaga, or what you know as Lake Tahoe, and the lands surrounding Lake Tahoe, is not only the center of Washoe people's existence, but it is the heart of our livelihood. Our people have been stewards of this land for thousands of years, and we continue to be stewards of the lands today. And that couldn't be made possible without the funding that comes down through the LTRA. We need to keep that going. And Washoe Tribe still currently runs about 7 projects out of Lake Tahoe for conservation, restoration, re-implementation of the original Lahontan cutthroat trout in the waters, fixing the watershed streams that come down to the mountains. So these lands have given us life for thousands of years, and it's our goals and hopes that we can continue to maintain these lands, be original stewards of them so that they will continue to give us life for thousands of years to come. So supporting the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act, the funding, the extensions, we need that to come down. Times are changing. Things are happening in the world that we need to be proactive in our stewardship to the lands. And so with that, I'm thankful for support. I'm thankful for the teams that we have that are helping support our cause to not only keep the lake beautiful, but keep it giving life. The clarity of the water is not just something to look at. It's giving us life when we're able to drink it, that there's no parasites. And so we want to keep those things going. So for that, I would say in our language, umo angawe, which means you're doing good. And we hope everybody continues to provide the support. Thank you.
All right, any questions? Well, I'm looking forward to getting this across the finish line. It's vitally important for the entire Tahoe region. And I want to thank again the League, TRPA, Supervisor Gustafson, and everyone else who's here to advocate for this incredibly important piece of legislation. Thanks everyone very much.